Are you here specifically to atone for the Cuervo Surf Ranch Classic?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much you rip into me. Where do we start?
Well,
did you actually
that's where we
watch
start.
it?
No, of course not.
I knew you didn't watch it. There's no way.
Why did you know that I didn't watch it?
Because I feel like it doesn't seem like something you'd be that interested in. I don't feel from just listening to you over the years that would be super invested in that.
You were right. I did not watch it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, it would be shame on me. It's not to do with you, Devon. It's to do with the wave pool and contests and all that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah, and you have been pretty consistent on that.
The last time I think you were here, we kind of talked about the WSL did a specialty event there, and I was talking about the reasons why it didn't work for me.
Right.
And you were a little bit more
oh yeah, that's right. You were kind of grilling me a little bit last time. That was fun.
So speaking of, where did this event go wrong? Let's put it that way.
Well, where did it go right? And where did it go wrong?
Let's start there.
Well,
if you want my opinion, but I didn't watch it, but I'll give you feedback.
I mean, I got a lot of feedback. I don't know, whatever you want to share is great. The whole, just to back up, why are we even there? We had a longboard tour, not a terribly big tour. It was 4 events. We had some that were tentative. But we know the story. COVID hit. We had just got Noosa done right under the bell, so to speak, at the end of February.
Joel Tudor won?
Yeah, Joel Tudor won, which was, cool. The old guy's back, and he's really wanted us to win a world title. So he's like, ready for the next events. We had some teed up for Malibu and Trestles. And we had a event in New York as well. So we would have had 4 events, and boom, it's over. COVID shut everything down. And we keep watching, at a certain point, okay, we would really like to do something the WSL has access to the ranch, obviously, seeing that they own it. And we could have tried to do an event at Malibu or Lowers. The problem is some of our surfers from Australia couldn't come because they're hardcore lockdown in Australia. South Africans couldn't have come. They were hardcore lockdown until recently. They've been allowed to leave, but they're not even allowed to come to the U.S. They can go other places. We've been marked as dangerous and on the bad boy list. And then Brazilians can't come. So it just became this problem of like, well, how can we have a world tour event and it's not going to work? So specialty event. We could have done specialty event at those other spots, but at the time, this is midsummer, the state and city didn't want to hear anything about it. Interestingly enough, sort of under the wire, they were able to do that Supergirl one down on Oceanside. Whatever the case, we ended up moving forward on a specialty event and already knowing the problems with it, which is boredom, so the WSL was looking at not only for longboard, but as a sort of product for the organization with any type of ranch event, possibly any type of event, period, which is, would a highlight package work? Fox Sports as their partner was interested in like, hey, we can't handle these days on end events.
Right.
What about an hour? So that's sort of how we teed it up. I didn't know if you want to jump in on that. I want to just talk your head off here.
Can I read you somebody's feedback? Let's go there.
let's just cut to the chase.
I think it'll sum it up.
Sure.
The feedback will sum it up better than I can.
Sure.
And again, I didn't watch.
Before you read it and rip into me, I'm not here to defend anything necessarily, but I just want people to understand what my role is there. My role is to build the events, get the right surfers, get the criteria and the judges, and sort of pull it all together. When it comes to shows and all that, I can say things, and based off what we talk about, I'll chime in where I can.
Yeah.
But it sort of stops there. But,
of course.
And so I'm okay with the feedback, and I did a lot of screen grabs.
But are you right now trying to distance yourself from the end product?
I wouldn't say. I mean, I work there, so like you can't. I'm attached to it, you know, but there's things that are done on a show that are, I can't.
You're attached to setting up the product or setting up the event itself.
Yeah.
But what we end up seeing is
The end
a
result.
edited
Sure.
package that somebody else is responsible for.
Yeah. So let's hear it. I know what the comments are going to be.
Of course you do. No, of course you do. And I didn't watch it. It was Saturday. I was home at the time. And I had the opportunity to watch it, and I thought to myself,
Do I care?
I don't really care. And so I immediately started getting feedback while the event was on, and then continued to get it, of course, for the next few days. And essentially everybody was saying it felt like a commercial. So it was a 1 hour package that felt like a tequila commercial. And I thought to myself, God, I've criticized the WSL in the past for the events being too long. They need to figure out a way to do a highlights package, maybe do a post-production, like maybe a Big Wave World Tour event is best shown as a highlights package. And WSL did everything that I've criticized them for, but for some reason it still didn't work in this version. And so this person, again, their feedback sums it up. He said, WSL advertised their longboard contest at the ranch as being live on YouTube. Like a total loser eager for a live contest, surfing, I stayed up late to watch it. I don't know where in the world this person was, but they stayed up late to watch it. It soon became apparent that it was not live. It was actually a pre-produced highlights package, which looked more like a tequila infomercial. I felt dirty enough wanting to watch longboarders in a wave pool. The fact that the WSL actually pulled a bait and switch just makes me feel stupid and angry. Would be keen to hear Devon Howard's take, particularly given his deference of the last debacle at the ranch, which he's referring to the last episode that we talked about. I think it was Rumble at the ranch.
Sure.
So I don't remember the WSL advertising it as a live event. If that was the case, then this person has a claim to be upset about a bait and switch. The other thing that I heard or that I got in feedback was not seeing completed rides. They're like, what the beauty of a longboard is the fading takeoff or, finding trimming on the highline. And all that we saw were the nose rides and the barrel section attempts, but I wanted to see a complete ride from beginning to end.
Agreed. Yeah.
Which is where kind of the longboard, where the beauty of riding a longboard is. And the way that the package was cut just didn't show that.
Yeah. I completely agree with all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think, look, the event, a couple things that the event came together quickly and at the last moment. This package that they made was something new, and so they don't have any real practice with it. I did see I saw it hours before it was like, we're turning it in.
No way.
Yeah. And, to turn around that thing quickly was definitely a challenge, and so when I saw it, I literally every comment that was on there and everything that I've seen, I put in a bullet list to the team, and they shared like, we'll change what we can. There was a couple little minor hiccups that were just factual errors that they were able to fix. Doesn't matter what they are. So I was able to catch some things. But the concept was so baked and so far down the road, it was like, I got this note at, after lunch, and they were turning in it at 6 p.m. to Fox. They're like, we're running with it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. And my biggest thing that I knew immediately was the core audience. And it was made clear to me, and this isn't pointing fingers at anyone at the WSL. This is just being very transparent. They made this as a product for Fox, for the Fox network,
right, for
the Fox viewer. And what I think can be learned from this, honestly, is, okay, that's fine. I think we could have done a better product regardless of the Fox thing. We shouldn't have had commercials within commercials. Even Jose Cuervo itself doesn't want that. The Jose Cuervo crew is actually really, this probably sounds disingenuous, but the guy who runs it is a legit guy. And, even they think it's too, so I think everybody learned a little bit that it just, you have sponsors, you make something, you're like, well, let's stoke them out. But when you don't have enough time to like really reel it back, and I think where this product could have been better was to not have commercials within the show. Let the commercials be the commercials. You have a commercial break. That's where your commercial is. Let the show itself be purely about the surfing, and that's it. Yeah, if a banner or a logo comes across, whatever, that's part of an event, but leave it about the surfing. I think that's super fair. What I will add to it is you can make this sort of highlights package for the Fox viewer, who presumably majority of them aren't surfers. They're like, oh, cool, you know. But on the World Surf League, this is what my proposal is. On the World Surf League, show a different version of it, an extended version, if you will, that maybe it has the same flavor and feel, but there's more breathing room because you don't have a time constraint when you run it on your own website. So then you could run the full rides, you know. So the way the format was is you had 6 surfers in round 1. The top 4 went from, it was a leaderboard. From there, they went into man on man. Now you have matchups. I think in round 1, you can get away with highlights. Okay, now we're in semis and finals. So you're looking at 2 semis for men and the men and women in the final, right? Let those all play out. At the very least, show their best left and their best right in completion. And I think if they'd done that and pulled back, I think it could have been a success, because there for as many people that ripped into it, there were quite a lot of people that said, hey, it was a little bit commercial, but it was rad to see the longboards there. And like, there was still a lot of positivity. And the people who saw it are probably scoffing at that, going, well, don't these people pay attention? It just was lame, you know? So it was interesting that it was sort of 50-50 on the feedback.
I was talking to Scott about this, Scott Bass on Spit earlier this week.
Yes.
And we both identified, get out of Devon's way. Like, honestly, the WSL, they should get out of Devon's way. Devon has the ability to kind of, first of all, he's authentic. He has the credibility to get the right athletes involved and to present it to an audience that actually cares and wants to see it. But what this felt like was maybe it was generated from Cuervo themselves.
It definitely was.
And then I told Scott, I go, but it's not, everything that Cuervo's done in surfing has been good. It's actually been really authentic. Yeah. It's been really tasteful. It hasn't been like overtly branded. It's been real tastefully branded. And it's like Jared Mel in Nicaragua surfing without any logos on his board, and then having a beer on the beach at the end. It's awesome. That's what we want to see, right? So I go, it'd be weird if they were the ones driving this commercial.
No.
And so ultimately the conclusion that we came to, which I feel like maybe you just validated, was too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many chiefs, where Cuervo has their interest, WSL has their interest, but they're all kind of working for Fox's interest. And then you come in, they leverage kind of your street credibility to get all the right people involved, but then take it off your hands and try to have 3 different bakers bake a pie together, which ends up really catering to very few people. I mean, it ends up catering to maybe the broadest audience of all, which, like you said, is Fox's audience. And somebody else said in an email, this isn't for us. This is to be played in a sports bar in the corner on the screen while people are shooting pool.
Look, in so many words, that was shared with me kind of after the fact. Yeah. Like, somebody kind of high up wrote me back literally saying, this is not for the core surfer. Right. And so I think that, look, I'm just trying to be transparent. Like, I'm attached to it. I struggle with the show, man, because like you said, I do care, and I really want it to be legit, and I'm not an expert on how to make a super niche subculture relevant to a giant audience on Fox. That's not my expertise. I'm looking at it, and the notes I sent were like, the core surf fan is going to be bummed on this, not only because of the commercials, that's obvious. Yeah. But the surfing itself, it was bitching. No matter what you think about the pool, to watch these surfers and even them just kicking out, like you didn't even get to see a kick out. But you're right, surfing is it's longboard surfing it's about all those things in between.
Exactly.
And the other thing, let's say that this was done, get rid of longboard. Let's say we did it with shortboard. I think the same frustration would exist with a shortboard viewer, because maybe it's not about the the intricate detail in between the maneuvers or moments. It's more about building momentum. We're used to watching an event and we get a sense. When I've invested an afternoon in the event, I'm like, okay, I've got a feel for this. And I'm like, you know, you literally get goosebumps watching something because you're like, okay, this person is in the freaking zone. Like, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? And like, you can feel and predict something that's beyond anything that the commentators can say. And we've completely, like, I think that got lost in this product. So, and I got a lot of messages, and nobody, you know, I think people were pretty reasonable, at least in the Instagram community I have. I think they understood that I'm doing what I can and that I don't own the show, but it's also a cop out. You know, once you put your name on something, I'm part of it. And so all I can do is own that. Yeah, there were some pieces of it that were honestly bad, you know, but there was some good in it too. And I'm focusing on, we got to show the world some longboard surfing. Wasn't the way we wanted it to, but there's really good notes from it. And I hope that people will give it another chance. I know I want to give it another chance, maybe not necessarily at the pool, but a highlights thing could work. It is an interesting concept if we could get it right.
I think you already solved it, which is putting the long form thing available on worldsurfleague.com for the core surfers to actually watch the completed rides from beginning to end, and the highlights package goes to Fox.
Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah. But the fact that it was advertised to the core audience in advance as something that the core audience should watch and then give them the Fox version was the only hiccup.
I think people felt ambushed. I think bait and switch, those types of comments. I think those are all fair.
I don't think you need to concern yourself so much with reconciling your own involvement with the end product. I think you can feel good about your work that you're doing and knowing that the WSL has the resources to execute the goals that you want them to execute. You just need to take the feedback, let everybody in power know, apply your talents there, and get the cogs in the wheels to shift in the directions that you're talking about. But you don't have to justify your involvement.
Yeah. And I think anyone who's worked in creative out there in any shape or form, when you don't have enough runway to really conceptualize, make the thing, and then have proper time to review it, like, it's really difficult, you know.
Totally.
When you're going to press with something, it's like, you know.
But if you are viewing yourself as an artist, you need to recognize you're working for a corporation and you're going to run into these things, but you don't have to justify it or lose sleep at night about it.
You know, the surfers, how it felt on the ground, everyone was really happy. So like that, I felt good about that piece of it. And we'll work on the next one. I mean, we're working on a calendar right now for next year. You know, paddle call.